Welcome back to the deep dive. You know that feeling, right? We all set these big, audacious goals, New Year's resolutions, career milestones, maybe a personal challenge that just, calls to us.
Well, yeah, definitely.
And there's that initial rush of adrenaline, that thrilling sensation of mapping out the perfect plan, imagining yourself crossing the finish line. It feels fantastic, doesn't it?
It really does. Almost like you've already done something.
Exactly. Just by making the commitment.
Yeah.
But then for so many of us, that powerful initial surge of motivation, it just slowly, inevitably kind of fizzles out.
Yeah, the dreaded fizzle.
We get caught in this cycle, right? Starting with all this enthusiasm and then struggling to sustain it, eventually just letting go. If you've ever felt this, if you've ever watched your grand plans slowly deflate into forgotten dreams, then let me assure you, you are definitely not alone.
And that's precisely why we're here today. We're taking a deep dive into the surprisingly complex psychology behind motivation, goal setting, and crucially, why we often fail to stick with those big intentions.
It's so complex, isn't it? More than just wanting it.
Way more. We're going to uncover some truly fascinating insights into why even those incredibly well-intentioned, high and specific goals, the very ones we're often told are the secret to success, can sometimes backfire.
Backfire? How so?
In truly unexpected, even damaging ways, actually. But more importantly, our mission for this deep dive is to equip you, our listener, with practical, science-backed strategies.
Okay, good. Practical is key.
Definitely. We want to help you not just find that initial spark of motivation, but truly understand how to sustain it for the long haul.
Right. Sustaining it. That's the tough part.
It is. So we're here to transform these insights into immediate, actionable steps you can implement, like today, helping you stay on track, feel better about the whole journey, and actually achieve what you set out to do.
Love it. And to help us navigate these intriguing waters, we've got some really compelling research to unpack today, right?
We do. We're looking at studies about how goal failure actually impacts our self-esteem on a really deep psychological level.
Oof. Yeah, that sounds important.
And we'll explore why genuinely enjoying the process itself is often far more important, more predictive of long-term success than just focusing on the distant prize.
Interesting. So, enjoying the grind.
Kinda, yeah. Finding joy in the grind. And for a dose of raw, relatable honesty, we'll even pull insights from a candid Reddit thread. Someone bravely shared their real struggle with losing motivation again and again.
Oh, wow. Real stories. That's great. It's going to be an illuminating journey, so let's get into it.
Okay.
Let's unpack this. For decades, the mantra, in personal development, in business, everywhere really has been to set SMART goals.
Right. Specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, time-bound. We've all heard it.
Exactly. And critically, a huge part of that widely accepted advice pushes us to aim high, reach for the stars, push our limits, challenge ourselves with these incredibly ambitious, even stretch targets.
Sounds motivating on the surface.
It sounds so empowering, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But what if this widely praised approach, this sort of bedrock of management theory and personal growth, what if it has a hidden and actually quite damaging dark side?
A dark side to SMART goals.
Well, specifically the aim high part. What if aiming high, counterintuitively, could sometimes be the very thing that sabotages our motivation?
It's a powerful question, and one that, recent research is starting to shed some light on. What's fascinating here is the work by Huppner and Keith from 2021. The title says it all. Goal missed, self-hit.
Goal missed, self-hit. Wow. Okay.
For a very long time, setting high and specific goals has been lauded. It's seen as one of the most effective tools for boosting performance, for boosting motivation.
Right, like make it challenging.
Exactly. We're talking over 1,000 studies, actually, that have linked these kinds of goals to increased task performance, greater persistence, an overall surge in motivation compared to vague goals like do your best or easy goals.
Makes sense. Gives you something clear to shoot for.
It does make intuitive sense. If you have a clear, challenging target, you're more likely to focus and work hard. However, this widely celebrated theory, while it's undeniably powerful sometimes,
There's a but.
There's a big but. It often overlooks a critical detail that has pretty significant psychological repercussions. And that is the inherent often very high risk of failure that comes baked into such ambitious goals.
The risk of falling short.
Think about it. Goal-setting theory sometimes advocates for setting goals so difficult that, and this is literally from the literature, only 10% of individuals can reach them.
Only 10%? Seriously?
Seriously. Now, if you really let that sink in for a moment, it means that 90% of people who set such a goal are, basically by design, almost guaranteed to fail.
Wow. That puts a different spin on it, 90%.
And it's in that moment of failure, for that vast majority, that the self-hit comes into play. It's not just about missing a target. It's about what that miss does to you internally.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting and, yeah, a bit unsettling. When we don't hit those ambitious targets, especially the ones we've put so much hope and energy into, it's not just a benign missed opportunity, is it?
Not at all.
It's not just a simple shrug and an, oh, well, maybe next time. This research shows it actually hits us personally, like deep down.
On a deep psychological level, yes. It impacts our very sense of self, our core identity. It's more like a wound, not just a scratch.
A wound, exactly.
Exactly. And the wound can be surprisingly deep. The studies Hepner and Keith did, they used various task difficulty setup. Some were made up, some were very real tasks.
Right.
And they painted a stark picture. They revealed significant detrimental effects for the people in the study who failed a high and specific goal. This wasn't just, fleeting disappointment. It was a profound psychological blow.
So what kind of effects are we talking about?
Well, first, they observed what's called decreased affect. Think of it like a dark cloud settling over their emotional landscape.
Affect, like mood?
Yeah, basically their overall positive feelings, their general sense of well-being, it took a noticeable dive. They didn't just feel a bit annoyed about failing. They experienced a broader range of negative emotions, frustration, sadness, maybe even a bit of despair. It impacted their mood and their personal reactions to the whole experience. They genuinely felt worse about things in general, not just the task. And that's critical because our emotional state influences so much, right? Our creativity, problem solving, how we engage with the world.
Totally. If you feel bad, everything feels harder.
Exactly. Second, and this is maybe even more damaging in the long run, there was a measurable drop in lower self-esteem.
Okay. The self-hit.
Precisely. This wasn't simply about, not completing a puzzle or hitting some sales target. It was about their fundamental evaluation of themselves, their own abilities significantly decreasing.
So it becomes personal. I failed.
Yeah,
It becomes I am a failure.
Kind of, yeah. Imagine investing your identity in a goal, pouring your self-worth into achieving it. When that goal crumbles, when you dramatically miss, it's not just the objective that breaks, but a piece of your self-perception.
Ouch.
There's this thing called identity theory in social psychology, and it helps us understand this. It basically suggests our self-esteem is intimately tied to the ratio of our perceived successes to our goals.
So lots of big goals, lots of failures equals lower self-esteem.
If you're consistently setting these super ambitious, almost unattainable goals, and therefore consistently failing, your self-image isn't just taking a minor hit, it's undergoing this sustained erosion. It can lead to a deep sense of inadequacy. You start to internalize the failure.
Not just, I missed the target, but I'm not capable, I'm not good enough.
Exactly, and that's a much harder hit to recover from.
Definitely. So decreased affect, lower self-esteem. What else?
And then, crucially, there was reduced motivation for future tasks. This is where it really comes back to our deep dive today, because it directly impacts your future potential, your willingness to even try again.
So failing once makes you less likely to try hard next time.
Significantly less motivated to engage in any subsequent tasks, actually. The research really captured this behaviorally. In one study, study 2, they used task choice as a concrete measure.
Okay.
People who had just failed a challenging goal were significantly more likely to choose an easier task next, even when the harder task offered a substantially larger, more appealing reward.
Like what?
Like 3 delicious chocolate chips versus just 1.
They chose 1 chocolate chip over 3 just to avoid the harder task.
Yep, because they just failed the hard one before. It shows this isn't just a feeling of discouragement, it's a clear, observable change in action. A retreat from challenge.
Kind of like learned helplessness.
Very much so. It can be incredibly difficult to overcome. The brain, having been hit, sort of ceased to protect itself by avoiding similar painful experiences in the future.
Wow. So what does this all mean for you, our listener, in your day-to-day life? This isn't just about feeling a bit down after missing a target, is it?
No, definitely not. These self-hits can have serious long-term consequences, trickling down into various aspects of our lives.
Like what?
Well, things like reduced performance at work, maybe a growing disengagement from challenging tasks, the very tasks that could lead to incredible growth if you tackled them.
So you start playing it safe.
Exactly. And in more severe or prolonged cases, it could lead to increased absenteeism or even that creeping sense of burnout we hear so much about.
Because you're constantly feeling like you're falling short.
Right. If you're constantly setting yourself up for failure with these impossibly high, maybe externally focused goals, you could be slowly but surely eroding your own foundation of motivation and well-being without even realizing the true cost.
It's like draining your emotional battery with every grand ambition that falls short.
That's a great analogy, yeah.
So we've seen how even the most ambitious, well-intentioned goals can sometimes wound our self-esteem and kill our future drive.
Yeah.
But that's not the only reason our motivation often hits a wall and just fades away.
No, there's more to it.
Beyond the self-hits of grand aspirations, there are these, insidious everyday battles we fight, often unknowingly, right? Against our own biology and the environments we're in.
The daily grind.
Let's peel back another layer and look at why that initial spark so often fizzles out. We've all been there. Mapping out a perfect plan for a new project, a new habit, learning a new skill, it feels fantastic.
Oh yeah, the planning high.
It's almost like you've already achieved something just by writing it down. But then Monday morning rolls around, or just the reality of the daily, often unglamorous grind sets in.
And poof.
And that initial spark starts to flicker, then dim, and then often just disappears. Why?
You've perfectly captured that common experience. There's this writer, Suzanne Laurence from Writers on the Move, and she highlights this so well. She says, basically, planning is fun. And it truly is. Daydreaming about future success is easy, it's exciting, it's full of glory. You imagine the book signings, the big promotion, the perfect physique, the applause.
All potential. No actual sweat yet.
Exactly, it's all possibility. But then, she adds, very honestly, the hard part is doing the actual work.
Yes.
The work. Whether it's making those dreaded cold calls for a new business, or grinding out a difficult chapter in a novel, or sticking to a complex diet day after day, the immediate execution often lacks that initial glory.
It's repetitive. Tedious sometimes.
Right. And that's precisely when motivation, which thrives on novelty and excitement, starts to waver. That gap between the inspiring vision and the mundane reality of execution, that can be a real motivation killer.
That's such a relatable feeling. We map out these grand plans, we feel that surge of optimism, but then it's like our own brain turns against us. You know, that little voice whispering, just stay on the couch, just hit next episode.
The internal saboteur.
Yeah. What is fundamentally happening in our psychology that makes us so prone to just giving in immediately, even when we know the long-term goal is better for us?
You've hit on a core, almost primal aspect of human behavior there. University of Delaware professors Naomi Sada, Philip Gable, Rob West, they explain this really well. We are, at our very core, wired to prioritize instant gratification over delayed rewards.
Wired for it, so it's not just weakness.
Not at all. It's not a moral failing or a lack of willpower. It's a deep-seated evolutionary mechanism. Our ancestors benefited from grabbing immediate energy sources, finding immediate safety. The future was often uncertain, so, a bird in the hand was always the safer bet.
That makes sense from an evolutionary standpoint.
And that ancient wiring still runs deep. It makes us inherently biased towards the immediate, easy choice. Think about it. The dopamine hit from scrolling social media or from a sugary treat or just the immediate comfort of the couch. That's a powerful, tangible reward right now. The rewards of saving for retirement or having a healthy body 6 months from now or mastering a new skill in a year. Those are abstract, distant.
Less exciting in the moment, for sure.
Exactly. Less viscerally exciting. So this creates a profound mismatch where our rational, conscious goals, the ones we set with that initial clarity and motivation, they collide head-on with the slow, often tedious, repetitive nature of building habits.
We want the results now, but habits take time. Boring time sometimes.
Right. And Philip Gable adds another layer. It's not just about that initial motivation spark. True success often hinges on something deeper, genuine commitment.
Motivation versus commitment. Interesting.
Motivation can ebb and flow like the tide, but commitment, That's the anchor that holds you when the waters get rough, when the initial excitement is long gone.
Okay, so if we're relying solely on that initial burst of excitement or maybe external factors like trying to impress people, we're basically building our motivational house on shaky ground.
Absolutely, like building on sand, expecting it to withstand a storm. Suzanne Lawrence also points out 3 other critical motivation killers that feed right into this internal battle.
Okay, what are they?
First, seeking external validation. If your main drive is to impress other people, like our Reddit user, Karmativer, mentioned wanting to be an inspirational figure.
Yeah, I remember that.
Your motivation will likely prove unsustainable. Lawrence argues that true, lasting success and sustained drive come from internal reasons. Doing it for yourself, for your own deep values.
Not for the likes or applause.
Exactly. External praise is nice, sure, but it's momentarily satisfying. It leads to this hollow victory and a dependence on outside forces to keep you going, forces which are inherently unreliable.
Right. What happens when the praise stops or criticism comes?
Your motivation tanks. Second killer, being too focused on results, not processes.
But aren't results the point?
Ultimately, yes, but especially at the beginning of anything new, tangible results come slowly, sometimes imperceptibly slowly.
Yeah, that can be really discouraging.
Totally. If you only pay attention to the big outcomes, the small, slow, incremental progress can feel incredibly unexciting and demotivating. You write a few paragraphs, get rejected by clients, lose half a pound, if that's all you see, and you're waiting for that grand payoff.
You could probably give up.
It's a struggle to stay the course. The advice here, which we'll get into more later, is to work for a victory each day. By just sticking to your plan, celebrate showing up. The process becomes the victory.
I like that. Process as the victory. Okay, What's the third killer?
And third, the natural drive for comfort. This one's huge. Our minds and bodies are fundamentally programmed to avoid discomfort and conserve energy. It's basic survival.
Back to that couch again.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Sticking with unenjoyable, challenging tasks means our inner selves are often fighting against us. That warm couch, the comforting bag of chips, the escape of Netflix. These are incredibly appealing because they offer immediate, effortless comfort.
Our brains are literally working against our long-term goals sometimes.
They are, pulling us back to what's easy, familiar, comfortable. It's not a moral failing. It's biology we have to actively understand and manage.
Okay, so we've got the internal battles, the instant gratification bias, seeking external validation, focusing too much on results, the drive for comfort. But beyond that, our surroundings play a massive role too, right?
Oh, absolutely. It's a huge factor.
It's not just what's in our heads, but the environment we're in, work, school, home. It can be like a tailwind pushing us or a headwind holding us back.
Exactly. The Cohen et al. Study from 2022 on student motivation illustrates this perfectly. They tracked students over a school year and found something pretty significant.
What did they find?
A significant decline in students' autonomous motivation, that's the good kind, driven by genuine interest, curiosity, personal value.
The motivation that comes from within.
Right. And at the same time, a significant increase in a motivation, which is basically a lack of interest, disengagement altogether, just checking out.
Wow. Over just one school year? Why?
It wasn't random. This shift was directly linked to changes in how students perceived their teacher's style.
The environment, the teacher's approach.
Precisely. This brings us to a really important theory in motivation research, self-determination theory, or SDT.
SDT.
SDT is central. It's incredibly well validated. It basically says that 3 basic universal psychological needs fuel our motivation, our engagement, our overall well-being.
3 core needs.
Yep. When these needs are met, our intrinsic drive thrives. When they are frustrated or thwarted, our motivation suffers dramatically.
Okay, what are the 3 needs?
First, there's autonomy. This is that deep human need to feel like you have a say, a choice, a sense of self-direction in what you do.
Like feeling you're in control, not just being told what to do.
Exactly. Think about a kid wanting to pick their own clothes, or an employee who thrives when given ownership over a project. It's about feeling like you are the author of your own actions.
Makes sense. What's second?
Second, we have competence. This is feeling effective, capable, skilled in achieving your goals and navigating your world.
Like feeling I can do this.
Yes. It's the satisfaction you get from mastering a new skill, seeing your effort lead to real improvement, successfully solving a problem, that feeling of capability.
Got it. Autonomy, competence, and the third.
Third is relatedness. This is feeling connected, genuinely accepted, and supported by others.
The social connection piece.
Right. It's that sense of belonging to a team, a community, or just having someone in your corner cheering you on, offering understanding and empathy. It's the feeling of, I belong and I matter to others.
Autonomy, competence, relatedness.
Right.
Okay, so how did the teacher study connect to these?
What's fascinating here, the Cohen study showed that when teachers were seen as less autonomy supportive, meaning they didn't encourage student choice or self-direction.
More controlling.
Yeah, or less structuring, meaning they offered less clear guidance, had vague expectations, inconsistent feedback.
Kind of chaotic.
Exactly. Or were perceived as more chaotic, wavering, unpredictable expectations and demands the students experienced greater need frustration.
Need frustration. So not just unmet needs, but actively thwarted needs.
Precisely. It wasn't just a passive lack of support. It was an active thwarting of their basic psychological needs. The environment was actively undermining their fundamental drivers.
And that led to the drop in motivation.
Directly, it led to that observable drop in motivation, engagement, and overall well-being. It just highlights how powerful external factors can be, even if the internal desire might initially be there.
Wow. So your environment can really make or break your drive.
Absolutely. And if we connect this to the bigger picture, this goes way beyond the classroom.
Right. Applies to work, teams, families.
Anywhere, really, whether it's a manager, a team leader, a coach, or even within a family. Any setting that actively frustrates these fundamental needs, autonomy, competence, relatedness, will inevitably undermine motivation, creativity, well-being.
You see this in workplaces sometimes, right? Micromanagement killing autonomy.
Definitely. Or people feeling incompetent due to lack of resources or training, or feeling disconnected from their team, lacking relatedness. Organizations often face external pressures that can inadvertently lead to controlling or chaotic behaviors from leaders.
Which then impacts everyone else's drive.
Dramatically. It impacts long-term drive, engagement, retention, all of it. It's a powerful reminder that our environment isn't just a passive backdrop, it's an active shaper of our motivation, for better or worse. We carry these needs with us everywhere.
Okay, so we know why motivation fails. The self-hits, the internal battles, the unsupportive environments. Now for the good part, how do we build it back up? How do we create that unstoppable drive? Let's talk strategies.
Yes, let's get practical. Strategy number 1 is a big one, and it flips things around a bit.
Okay, I'm ready.
Strategy 1, cultivate intrinsic motivation, find joy in the process.
This connects back to what you said earlier, enjoying the doing, not just dreaming about the outcome.
Exactly. This is a game changer. We've always been told to focus on the big reward, keep your eyes on the prize. But the science, as we're learning, says the real magic, the most potent fuel for long-term sustainable drive, is found in genuinely enjoying the day-to-day process itself.
It seems almost too simple, but maybe that's the point.
It kind of is. There was this series of studies by Woolley, Jerge, and Fishbach. They looked across different cultures, different goals.
And what did they find?
They confirmed a really profound insight. Intrinsic motivation, that enjoyment, engagement, satisfaction you get from the activity itself, is a significantly better predictor of sticking with goals long-term than extrinsic motivation.
Better than motivation from rewards or usefulness or importance?
Significantly better. People often underestimate how powerful just liking the activity is. They think, oh, this goal is so important, that'll keep me going. But the research found people who found their goals more enjoyable stuck with them way more, regardless of how important they thought the outcome was.
Wow. So liking the process beats knowing the outcome is important.
In terms of predicting long-term adherence, yes. The sheer joy of the activity itself acts like a powerful magnet, pulling you back day after day.
Okay, so to put this powerful concept into practice for yourself right now, what's the immediate actionable tip here? How can our listeners leverage this today?
Right. Action tip number 1. For any goal you're currently working on, or even a new one you're thinking about, consciously ask yourself this question. How can I make the process of achieving this more enjoyable, more engaging, or simply more interesting to me?
So actively design the journey for enjoyment.
Yes. Don't just suffer through it, white-knuckling it for some distant reward. If your goal is exercise, find a form you genuinely like. Maybe it's dancing, hiking a beautiful trail, playing a sport you love.
Instead of just dragging yourself to the gym if you hate the gym.
Exactly. Or if it's a learning task, seek out resources, teachers, or methods that make the topic truly fascinating to you, not just what's supposed to be effective or efficient.
Find your own angle.
Right. Even for mundane or typically boring tasks, think creatively. Can you add elements like your favorite music? Create a comfortable or inspiring environment. Introduce some kind of game or challenge element to make it more engaging.
Gamify your chores.
Why not? As one of the studies we mentioned showed, simply framing a task as fun and surprising increased engagement by a remarkable 25%.
25% just from the framing. Wow.
It's about designing the journey to be inherently rewarding. Make it something you want to do, not just something you feel you have to do.
That's a profound shift. Okay, strategy 1. Find joy in the process. What's next? Because we do tend to get so easily overwhelmed by the sheer size of big goals. That mountain we need to climb.
Exactly. It looks daunting, which leads perfectly to strategy 2. Break it down, celebrate it up, the power of micro goals and small wins.
Micro goals, making the mountain into small hills or maybe even pebbles.
That's the idea. Elise O'Shea from Soulful Strides Life Coaching and Sarah Lee from Sustaining Motivation both strongly emphasize setting micro goals. The key is to take your large, overarching, intimidating goal.
The one that makes you want to hide under the covers.
Right. And break it down into tiny, almost ridiculously achievable milestones. The University of Delaware experts also back this up. They say it helps prevent that emotional distress and overwhelm that comes from goals feeling too big, too vague, insurmountable.
So your brain doesn't just freeze up looking at the whole thing.
Exactly. It needs manageable chunks.
And for you, our listener, this is another tip you can put into practice right now, today, to start seeing progress and feeling less overwhelmed.
Okay, here's your immediate takeaway for strategy 2. Identify your big goal. Now ask yourself, what's the absolute smallest, most manageable step you can take today or maybe this week that genuinely moves you forward?
Smallest possible step, like really small.
Yes. For example, if your big goal is write a book, a micro goal could be as minimal as write one single sentence or outline one paragraph for a chapter.
One sentence. Okay, that feels doable.
Yeah. Or if it's exercise daily, it could be stretch for 5 minutes or walk around the block once. The critical part, though, is the second half. Celebrate each one as a win.
Celebrate stretching for 5 minutes.
Really?
Really?
Yes. This isn't trivial. It's psychologically powerful. Acknowledge it. Give yourself credit. It builds confidence, it reinforces the positive behavior, and it provides that continuous, tangible sense of accomplishment.
Which is vital for keeping the momentum going.
Absolutely. Sarah Lee highlights this. Celebrating small wins builds confidence, strengthens those positive neural pathways, and gives you that much-needed feeling of progress, even when the big goal still feels miles away.
Yeah.
It's about creating a positive feedback loop for your brain. Action, accomplishment, good feeling, more action.
Break it down, celebrate it up. Got it.
Yeah.
Okay, what's strategy 3? We often try to power through alone, right? Relying just on willpower. Like motivation is purely internal.
Yeah, the lone wolf approach. But that often backfires.
So leaning on others, nurturing ourselves, that's crucial too. We're not meant to be islands.
You've hit on a core human truth. Strategy 3 is cultivate your motivation ecosystem support, environment, and self-care.
Motivation ecosystem. I like that. It's not just about me, but everything around me and in me.
Exactly. O'Shea and Lee both stress the absolute necessity of creating a supportive environment. This means actively surrounding yourself with positive influences.
People who lift you up, not drag you down.
Right. Friends, family, mentors, even online communities who offer genuine encouragement, constructive advice, maybe just a different perspective when you're stuck.
Like those famous figures you mentioned. Oprah, Mandela. They had networks.
They didn't achieve greatness in a vacuum. They relied on huge networks of support, guidance, collaboration. And part of this ecosystem is also your physical space.
Your environment again.
Yeah. Actively eliminate distractions. Create a physical workspace or environment that feels comfortable, well-lit, organized, whatever helps you focus. These external factors significantly impact your ability to stay focused and motivated.
Reducing the friction to get started and keep going.
Precisely. And then there's the internal ecosystem part. Self-care.
Okay, so here are some actionable steps you can take today to cultivate your very own motivation ecosystem, both internally and externally.
Let's break this down into practical, immediate actions for you listening. First, seek support. Identify one person in your life, a friend, family member, mentor, who you can regularly share your progress and your struggles with. Maybe a weekly check-in, maybe just knowing you can reach out.
Accountability and connection.
Yes, or join an online group or community that specifically aligns with your goals. that shared experience, the accountability, the diverse perspectives from others on a similar path, that can be incredibly motivating. It feeds that relatedness need from SDT.
Makes sense. What else for the ecosystem?
Second, practice self-compassion. This is so critical and so often overlooked. When you inevitably slip up, miss a target, face a setback, and you will, because it's part of the process.
Just find yourself.
Yes. As the University of Delaware professors advise, expect lapses, accept them as normal, and consciously avoid falling into that rabbit hole of guilt and shame.
Easier said than done sometimes.
It is. But try this. Ask yourself, would I say this awful thing to a friend who is struggling? If the answer is no, then don't say it to yourself. Rephrase your self-talk with kindness and understanding. Self-criticism is just a huge drain on motivation and energy.
Treat yourself like you treat a friend.
Okay.
And the third part of the ecosystem.
Third, prioritize vitality basics. This came up again and again in that Reddit thread we looked at, and it's a foundation so many people neglect when they're chasing goals.
Like sleep.
Yes. Get adequate sleep. Seriously, 7 to 8 hours is absolutely crucial for cognitive function, emotional regulation, just having the basic energy to pursue your goals. It's non-negotiable.
People try to sacrifice sleep for productivity, but it backfires.
Always. And integrate genuine non-productive downtime. And I really emphasize non-productive. This isn't just structured journaling as another task on your list.
What kind of downtime?
It's taking walks in nature, reading a book for pure pleasure, practicing meditation, simply sitting quietly with a cup of tea, letting your mind wander. These aren't breaks from productivity.
They're investments in productivity.
Exactly. There are essential investments in your mental and physical resources that sustain your long-term motivation and prevent burnout. Your body and mind need rest and restoration. Provide it healthily.
Cultivate your ecosystem. Support, self-compassion, vitality basics. Great. What's strategy 4?
Strategy 4 focuses inward again. It's about the stories we tell ourselves. Master your mindset growth and visualization.
Ah, the internal narrative. Our biggest ally or worst enemy?
It really can be. One key strategy here is adopting what psychologist Carol Dweck famously called a growth mindset.
Growth mindset versus fixed mindset.
Right, exactly. It's the fundamental belief that your abilities and intelligence aren't fixed traits you're born with, like eye color. They're qualities that can be developed, improved, expanded through effort, learning, perseverance.
So instead of I'm just not good at math.
It's, I might struggle with math now, but if I put in the effort, seek help, learn new strategies, and persist, I can absolutely get better. It completely reframes challenges.
They become opportunities to grow, not threats.
Precisely. Failure isn't an endpoint, it's critical feedback, an opportunity to learn. You mentioned Sarah Blakely, the Spanx founder. She credits her success partly to embracing failure from a young age, seeing it as just part of learning.
Celebrating failures at the dinner table.
Yeah, shifting the whole narrative around it.
Okay, so how do we cultivate that mindset and use visualization? Action tips.
Okay, actionable tips for mastering your mindset. First, reframe setbacks. When a setback happens, consciously catch yourself. Instead of that crushing thought, I failed, try internalizing, okay, I haven't failed, I'm just learning here. Then take a moment, maybe even write it down. What are 3 specific things you learned from that experience? How will that new knowledge help you move forward differently next time?
Shifts you from self-judgment to problem solving.
Instantly. Second, practice visualization. Integrate this into your routine, maybe 5 minutes each morning, or before you start a challenging task. Vividly picture yourself achieving your goal.
Not just think about it, but feel it.
Yes. Engage all your senses. Experience the joy, the accomplishment, the outcome in your mind. What does it look like, feel like, sound like? Michael Jordan famously used this, right? Envisioning success long before it happened.
Mental rehearsal.
Okay.
Priming the brain for success.
Exactly. It can reignite your passion, clarify your path.
Powerful stuff. Okay, growth mindset, visualization. We have one strategy left.
One more. And this one seems almost counterintuitive, especially when motivation is really low.
When you feel like doing absolutely nothing.
Exactly. When the last thing you want to do is anything. Strategy 5 says the opposite. The power of small, consistent action. Just keep moving forward.
Even when you don't feel like it.
Yeah.
Maybe especially when you don't feel like it.
Precisely. Elise O'Shea stresses that forward motion, however small, creates momentum. This is crucial for counteracting that natural drive for comfort we talked about, and for building habits through sheer repetition, like the Delaware experts highlighted.
So discipline isn't about always feeling motivated.
No, It's about acting even when you don't feel like it. The amazing thing is, the act of doing itself can often trigger the motivation to continue.
Motion creates emotion.
That's the principle. You don't wait for motivation to strike like lightning. You create it by taking one small step.
Okay, how do we implement this tiny action strategy? What's the tip?
Here's how to put it into practice. Commit to one truly tiny action related to your goal every single day, even when you're feeling completely demotivated, drained, like you just can't.
Tiny? How tiny?
Like if our Reddit user Carnitiver was struggling with 6 hours of coding, they could start with just 15-30 minutes of focused effort, maybe even 10 minutes.
The goal isn't huge output then.
No. The goal isn't immediate perfection or massive output. It's purely consistent engagement. The act of showing up, even for that short time, registers as a win in your brain.
Get addicted to that positive feeling of just sticking to the plan, however small.
Exactly that phrase. That steady, small progress builds discipline over time. It creates a sense of reliability within yourself. I showed up, even when it was hard. And eventually, often, the motivation will naturally return as you build this track record of small, consistent successes. It's about outsmarting your brain's comfort bias, one tiny action at a time.
Okay, let's bring all these strategies together now. Let's circle back to our listener like Carnitive from Reddit, who so bravely shared their struggle. Their story is such a perfect, raw example of these principles playing out in real life.
It really is.
They set that incredibly strict daily routine, remember. 6 hours coding, 1 hour workout, only 6 hours sleep, 30 minutes journaling.
Super ambitious. Almost punishingly ambitious.
Yeah. And then they'd repeatedly crash, lose motivation entirely, find themselves caught in this awful cycle of guilt and depression, only to eventually try the same intense schedule again.
Classic boom and bust cycle. And Carnitive's motto, keep myself busy all the time, while it sounds productive and driven.
It's actually a recipe for burnout.
Absolutely. It's a classic recipe for burnout, and it directly contradicts that deep human need for adequate rest, recovery, and genuine self-care that we just talked about with the Vitality Basics.
And the goal of being an inspirational figure.
That hints strongly at that reliance on external motivation, which we know from Woolley, George, and Fishbach, is way less sustainable long-term than finding internal intrinsic joy.
Right.
Their intense schedule, combined with the low productivity they reported in coding despite the long hours, that really suggests a potential disconnect from intrinsic enjoyment in the process itself. They weren't finding the fun in the function.
Just logging hours.
Seems like it. And furthermore, the description of their struggles, the intense focus needed, the cycle, it does point towards a possible underlying issue, maybe like ADHD, as some Redditors suggested. That would make such a rigid schedule particularly hard to maintain without the right kind of support.
And the guilt and depression just make it all worse.
Exactly. It becomes this vicious cycle, incredibly hard to break free from.
Okay. So for Carnitive, and really for anyone listening who gets caught in this cycle of ambitious starts and sudden crashes, which, let's be honest, is most of us at some point. Here's a tailored roadmap based on everything we've uncovered in this deep dive. These are practical, immediate steps you can start applying today.
Okay, let's lay out some practical steps, integrating all our strategies for sustainable motivation, specifically tailored for someone in Carnitive's situation, but applicable to anyone feeling stuck. First, reevaluate goal scope with intrinsic joy. Instead of that rigid, frankly daunting 6 hours of coding, Carnitive and you should start with something much more realistic and, crucially, more enjoyable. Maybe 1-2 hours of focused, intrinsically motivated coding.
Focused on enjoyment, not just hours.
Right. Pick a project that genuinely fascinates you, something that sparks your curiosity, not just something you feel you should do, and break that learning into micro goals.
Like mastering one new function a day, or solving one small, interesting problem.
Exactly. Master one function, solve one problem, refactor one small piece of code. And remember strategy too. Celebrate those tiny accomplishments as true wins. Build competence, maintain momentum. Find the fun in the function, not just the far off finish line. Second, prioritize vitality and downtime. This is absolutely non-negotiable for sustainable motivation and well-being. Crucially, really commit to 7-8 hours of sleep every single night.
Not a luxury, a foundation.
The absolute foundation for energy focus, emotional resilience, and integrate genuine, non-productive downtime into your day. Again, non-productive, not just another task like journaling sometimes becomes.
Walks in nature, reading for fun, music, just sitting quietly.
Yes, 20-30 minutes. These aren't breaks from productivity. They are essential investments in your mental and physical resources. They sustain energy, prevent burnout, give your brain the rest it needs to function optimally. Your body needs comfort, provide it healthily. Third, shift focus from results to process. Especially early on, visible results will be slow, maybe disheartening. Instead of fixating on the grand outcome or comparing your output to some ideal.
Celebrate showing up. Celebrate doing the smaller chunk of coding or the workout.
Exactly. Celebrate the act of showing up and doing your reduced, more manageable time. Get addicted to that positive feeling of simply adhering to your plan, like we discussed. Even if the immediate output feels small, make adherence itself the daily victory.
Builds internal motivation, reinforces consistency.
Which is the bedrock of habit formation. Consistency over immediate intensity. Fourth, internalize motivation and practice self-compassion. Take time to reflect. Why do these achievements truly matter to you? Deep down. Not what they look like to others, not about being inspirational. Connect to your core values.
Find the why within.
Yes, and when an off day inevitably arrives, because they will arrive instead of spiraling into guilt and depression, acknowledge it. Treat yourself with kindness, understanding. Remember the treat yourself like a friend rule.
Expect lapses, accept them, avoid the shame spiral.
Exactly. Avoid that rabbit hole. Simply commit to one small, enjoyable action the next day to gently re-engage. Demonstrate that growth mindset. It's about progress, not perfection. And finally, fifth, seek appropriate support. For that relatedness need, maybe connect with other beginner coders, online, local groups. Share experiences, bounce ideas, learn together.
Makes it less lonely.
Definitely. Seek out a mentor, perhaps, for guidance, different perspectives, practical advice, and most importantly, if this cycle of losing motivation is deeply ingrained, if it's persistent, if it's coupled with significant feelings of depression or anxiety.
Don't be afraid to seek professional help.
Absolutely. Seeking professional help for potential underlying conditions like ADHD, chronic stress, depression is a proactive and vital step towards lasting well-being. A mental health professional can provide tailored strategies, support, help you understand your unique brain wiring, find the right path forward.
It's not weakness, it's self-care and self-awareness.
A profound act of both.
So what does this all mean for you, our dedicated listener? Sustaining motivation. It isn't about simply wanting it more, is it? Or just pushing harder through sheer willpower, or trying to achieve some external ideal.
No, it's much smarter than that.
It's about intelligently understanding these deep psychological currents that either drive us forward or cause us to derail, recognizing the hidden costs of overly ambitious goals, maybe.
And then intelligently redesigning our approach to goals, to daily habits, in a way that respects our intrinsic needs, our natural human wiring, our need for rest and support.
It's about working smarter, not just harder, more sustainably.
Exactly. If we connect this to the bigger picture, the key insight from all our sources today is a truly powerful one, I think.
That's the core takeaway.
We must learn to merge our ambitious, often extrinsically driven, long-term goals with intrinsically enjoyable processes. Find the joy in the journey towards the ambition.
So it's not a compromise of our ambitions.
Not at all. It's actually the most intelligent, the most sustainable, and ultimately the most joyful path to achieving what truly matters to you.
Make the journey itself a reward.
Which fosters that deep internal wellspring of motivation that external setbacks can't easily dry up. It's about building a life you actually enjoy living while you pursue your goals, not just building a to-do list you suffer through.
That's a great way to put it. Building a life, not just a to-do list. This raises an important final question for you, our listener, to take with you today. What one small, enjoyable tweak can you make to a goal you're currently struggling with right now to make the doing feel just a little bit more rewarding than the dream?
Just one small tweak.
Think about it, identify that tweak, and maybe make that change today. You might be amazed at the difference. Keep diving deep and keep building that momentum. You've got this.